Well, good evening everyone and welcome to Inside Line Racing. The halfway point of the season has been reached with many highlights, battles and controversial moments dominating ILR1. For a majority of our drivers tonight, this is their home race, so many will be pumped up to put in a competitive performance at this iconic and world famous Silverstone circuit. The championship is close and the racing has been even closer, so whoever takes the top step of the podium will go into the second half of the season with a lot of confidence. Smoothness and consistency will play a big part tonight, as the strict ETL rules around Silverstone are completely unforgiving. Don't pick up damage on lap 1, as this will ruin your strategy with the longest pit lane on the calendar hindering progress. So the Silverstone circuit, which hosted the very first World Championship Grand Prix all the way back in 1950, provides the drivers with 18 challenging and unique corners. Long DRS zones, overtaking opportunities, sweeping curves and heavy braking zones make this a difficult but enjoyable experience for the drivers, which is why it's so popular with everyone. Abbey, Copse and Stowe sees the drivers tackle corners at high speed. Village, The Loop and Club will test the drivers' braking and downforce, and who could forget the incredible Maggots and Beckett sequence. Get all that right every lap and you could come out on top in this battle for Britain. Well, good evening everyone, my name is Alex Lilliard and you join us here with 15.5 minutes of the qualifying session left to go. Pretty much every single driver going out on circuit on the softs apart from Zenke in the Renault. I'll be expecting the strategy tonight, well, mediums will be definitely dominant tyre around here. I don't think too many people will be wanting to do a different strategy compared to everyone else, because the pit lane here is so long. It's definitely a one-stop race, I can tell you that much, and anyone that does pick up damage in the first couple of laps and has to pit will really struggle to remain competitive in this race. So lap times will be coming in thick and fast at the early stage of this session. We've got Will Murdoch, who is one of the reserve drivers in tonight, replacing Lakitu. Got Amir out on circuit as well, ILRT Louis. He'll be one of the favourites tonight to put down a race win at least. So we'll just filter through now, see if anyone out there is going to be putting on a quick lap just yet. Good evening to everyone that is coming in on the stream. So 14.5 minutes left then. We've got Yanul, who's on the far side. I think it was Gonanen, wasn't it? Gonanen was the first one possibly that's going to set a flying lap here. Well, I think actually a couple of cars have managed to get ahead of him, but Gonanen will finish the lap anyway for the Haas car. Just looking up the left front there a little bit, just going into club corner. Got yellow flags in sector 3. I can assume it's only with someone going slowly. In fact, it's Yanul that was the first one to cross the line with a 27.2, but it's immediately being eclipsed by both It's Me and Gonanen as well. So 26.569 is the fastest lap time, which again has been dropped. VSR Wayne now takes provisional pole with a 26.472. Just waiting for a few other drivers to come in. Rafa has already invalidated, by the looks of it. He's already completed one lap on those soft tyres, but that time hasn't come up, so he's obviously invalidated. Will Murdoch into second, Amir into third, Louis now onto provisional pole with a 26.121. 171 I should say, do apologise. And we've got a few other drivers putting in lap times. Fruitful Coop making his debut tonight. I will run over the drivers that are jumping in tonight very, very shortly. And ILRT Yanul has come on stream to say it's a dry weekend. Thank you very much for that. Good evening to Gaming, Alamonda and LR Nick as well. And everyone else that is slowly filtering in onto the stream. I do ask, obviously, any of the drivers out there, if you want to jump in on stream quickly and just tell me the weather, because unfortunately I can't see it on screen. Unlike all the drivers in the garage, they get the nice little window as well when it's going to be dry, wet or whatever in both qualifying race. I don't get that luxury, so I sort of have to sit here and guess what the weather's going to do. But it's always nice to know what the weather's going to do, and Yanul has come in to say that it's going to be a fully dry weekend then. We've also got Thomas van Berkenstein, hope I got that right, given his support to Fruitful Coot. So we might as well talk then about the reserve drivers in tonight. There is plenty to talk about as this qualifying session goes on. So we've got Will Murdoch replacing Lakitu at Ferrari. I believe Lakitu is at a DTM event in Hockenheim, so hopefully he's having a good day for himself. Fruitful Coop then makes his ILR1 debut as a reserve driver, replacing LR Betty in the Toro Rosso. And the only driver missing tonight is Speed Barry in the Mercedes. Now, penalties is going to play a big part here as we jump on board with Sterling as he takes us for a lap around Silverstone. So if you did watch the Austria stream, hopefully you've all managed to relax and calm down after it. I pretty much gained a hernia halfway through that stream with so much action that was going on. So Aaron Collingwood, due to his many incidents in the first half of the race, has picked up a quali ban. So we won't be seeing Aaron Collingwood out on circuit. LR Speedster as well, he's picked up 2 quali bans. Not 1, but 2 quali bans. So this tonight and next week, if he's there at Germany, he won't be able to take part in qualifying. That's basically because he came back on the circuit dangerously on the exited a final corner at the end of the first lap, took out a couple of midfield cars, ruined their races as well as his own. So he's been given a double qualifying ban. And VSR Onyx, who failed to send in footage after an incident got reported against him, he's going to have 10 seconds added to his race time at the end of this race. So we'll have to all remember that. Wherever Onyx finishes, immediately 10 seconds will be added on. And all the drivers have been informed as well to take that in mind, that Onyx is running with a +10 penalty tonight. So the tyre strategy I've already talked about. Softs and mediums will probably dominate the qualifying session at least. Hard tyres, you might see some drivers on the hard tyres. It's a difficult one. I'm not 100% sure about what the strategy is going to be around it. It's definitely going to be a one-stop. We know that much, certainly as it is going to be dry. We've got Zenke out on the circuit. He is on the hard tyres. As we've got a McLaren. Is it Lambo? No, it was Yanul just coming back onto the circuit right in front of Zenke actually. Fortunately, the Renault driver is on an outlap, so it won't hurt him too much. And he's just weaving from side to side there, but he will find himself some track space. We've got VSR Onyx out on circuit at the moment, and he's just coming around Luffield by the looks of it onto the old start-finish line with the grandstands on the left and the pit complex on the right. So just 10.5 minutes left of the session. Might as well go over the drivers and the Constructors' Championship then. Still very, very close after Truesdale left a couple of weeks ago. VSR Wayne holding on to top spot on 89 points. And then it's a tie for second place between ILRT Louis and VSR Onyx on 80 points. ILRT Rafa just 1 point behind in 4th place, and Onyx is spinning there, coming onto the hanger straight. So he's obviously clipped the curb somewhere and given it a bit too much of a boot fault, and he's just backing up slowly onto the circuit, making sure he stays out of the way. So that lap will be abandoned by Onyx, and he'll be back into the pits hopefully for another set of soft tyres. Just under 10 minutes left of the session to go, so he's got plenty of time to get back, readjust and calm down a little bit, get back out there on circuit. But not what Onyx wants to do. He's yet to set a lap time. Same for Rafa as well. So Rafa in 4th place in the championship on 79, and ILRT Lickle in 5th place on 72. Just 17 points separates the top 5. In the Constructors, Alfa Romeo lead the way on 168, Toro Rosso in 2nd on 133, Williams in 3rd 105, Red Bull 4th 99, Mercedes in 5th on 95. So we'll jump on board with our provisional poleman Louis at the moment, a 26.171, as he comes across the line to take us on a lap around this world fantastic Silverstone circuit, flashing through the Abbey chicane, turn 1 and then turn 2 farm curve into turn 3 village. Be very careful of the inside curve. Don't want to clip the sausage curve if you can. Over to the right hand side, again very understeery, a bit of a clumsy corner here, the loop turn 4. Open up the throttle through the easy flat turn 5 of Aintree. Open up the DRS down the Wellington straight. 2 DRS zones here, 1 here and 1 down the Hanger straight as well. Leave the braking very late for Brooklands. It's a very late apex here. You just want to kiss it just at the end there. Straighten up the car easily into Luffield. It's pretty much like almost like a double right-hander here. You drift the car wide in the mid part and then tighten up on exit as well. Keep away from the exit curve because there's gravel just there. Clip the inside as well as you go through Woodcote over the old start-finish line and then into Copse. It's absolutely fantastic corner, barely off the throttle. A great line through there as well. It's easy to ETL on the exit, and now through Maggots and Breckets. Hold your breath here as the car sweeps in left, right, left down a gear, right again, down another gear. Open up the throttle again, run the car a little wide, open up the DRS through Chapel, down the Hanger straight, up the gears, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th, well over 200 mile an hour, over to the left hand side, down a couple of gears into Stowe corner, throw the car in, easy on the throttle on the way out as well, run the car a little wide, over to the right hand side through Vale, and now down into the club chicane as well. A very tricky, clumsy corner, very understeery through here as well, and then you'll get a nice snap of oversteer on the exit if you're not careful, through the right hand kink, over the line, and he does improve. Our first driver into the 1 minute 25s with a 25.991, 2.5 tenths quicker than LR Poe in 2nd place on the Racing Point. Blizzard then up into 3rd place, unseen by me. In fact, immediately pushed down into 4th as ILRT Amir goes onto the front row of the grid, almost getting into the 125s as well. So just a handful of drivers still get to set lap times. Onyx back out on circuit going onto the mediums. Rafa Alva also out on circuit. We'll have a look at Rafa because he's desperate for a good lap time here, and it's about time these guys start putting in at least their banker lap. Louis completed 2 time laps. Onyx and Rafa yet to complete 1. We know we're not going to be seeing Aaron or Speedster in this session, and Lickle as well, top 5 in the championship, yet to set a lap time. Rafa comes across the line. It was only a 29.085, but he has invalidated. So he'll have to go again then, and this is, I think, multiple laps that Rafa's now completed. Second set of tyres, and he's yet to put a lap time in then. So Louis, Amir and Sparks as well. Sparks spoke to him last week, of course, after winning at Austria, a very, very commanding, dominant display. Everyone else fell off the road behind him, but he was left unchallenged at the front, and he's got high hopes tonight as well. Full of confidence, a young man from Scotland at the moment, and he'll be wanting to win what is essentially his home race as well, and if he does so, he'll close right up on that championship. Still many people involved in this championship fight because it is so close at the top, and any of these drivers really pick up 2 or 3 really strong results between now and, you know, well, the next 3 or 4 races, then they could find themselves right in that championship fight. So it's never say never for a majority of these drivers, even Blizzard as well, who's hanging on to a top 10 spot in the Drivers' Championship. If he somehow finds a rich vein of form in the next 2 or 3 weeks, he could find himself potentially challenging for a title, which would be a bit of a surprise considering the poor start he's had the first half of this season. Will Murdoch, the reserve driver, P6 at the moment. Fruitful Cook, second reserve driver, P7, coming back into the pits. Just 6 minutes left of the session. Wayne in P8. We'll come back down to Onyx and Rafa, see how they're getting on. Rafa coming into the pits then, so he's really running out of time here, Rafa. He's done multiple laps on different sets of tyres and yet to set a lap time. Now we'll jump on board with Onyx. We saw him, I was on board with him coming through Chapel Curve, having a spin a few minutes ago. He's now onto the medium tyres, so I'm not too sure if he's going to want to complete this lap or not. Indeed he is, so then let's see what Onyx can do. I don't think this is going to be highly competitive. He's already into the 1 minute 22s and he's not even at the final corner yet, so this is going to be towards the back of the field, I feel. Indeed it is, 13th place for 27.0, but it is on the medium tyres. Louis has also made a change onto the medium tyres. So it's just Lickle then, yet to set a lap time, as well as Rafa will stay on board with the Haas driver. Number 19 here as he comes down into Stowe corner, throwing it in, staying away from the entrance curve a little bit, and that will hinder you because you run wide, and he's not happy with his lap time, so he's coming in the pits then. And so it's just 5 minutes left of this session. We've got a bit of a lull at the moment. Blizzard is out on circuit, but he's on an in lap. Will Murdoch is, I think, going on the flying lap because he's certainly pulled his ERS up to the high numbers. So we'll see what his sector 1 time is like. He's 800ths, nearly 900ths of a second up, which would actually be good enough to jump all the way up into P4. So close is at the front of the field at the moment. There's a full second between the top 12, a 25.9 from Louis down to a 26.9 for Sterling in 12th, and then a few other drivers in the 27s as well. So the lap time's very competitive here, very close as we would expect in ILR1. And Will Murdoch then successfully negotiating cops now into Maggots and Beckett's as well. Down into 6th, down into 5th again, taking a little bit of curve there on the entrance. That will spit the car out a little wide, but he's opening up the DRS and he's still pushing here. He's now nearly 1.5 tenths up on his previous best as well, so he's finding time everywhere, and he's got an opportunity to get up onto the second row of the grid, and he might even be able to get ahead of Sparks as well. And if he manages to nail his final sector, this could be an outside shot at taking provisional pole. Just clipping the sausage curve a little bit there on the entrance to club as well. Twitchy on the exit. Flashes through the final kink as well, and it is good enough for P3, a 26.089 from Will Murdoch. He'll be very happy with that lap time. Wayne now out on circuit as well, and we got Sterling on an out lap, and Yanul down in 13th place has just completed his fast lap up into 9th place, just half a tenth ahead of his teammates. So McLaren in P9 and P10, and that might be the session over for Yanul now. He's not going to get back until there's at least 2 minutes left of the session, and then he'll take about 20-30 seconds in the pit. So I think then that Yanul session is going to be over. BSR Wayne has backed off on this lap, and I think he might be coming back into the pits as well. So we've got 43 people watching now. Hope each and every single one of you have enjoyed your weekend so far. I'll try and read some of the comments out if I can. Oh, it's insane, the chat's dead today. Well, there's 43 people watching. I'm sure that most of you will come up with a few comments once someone starts crashing at some point in the first couple of laps. I'm looking forward to this race tonight. I think a majority of these drivers are looking forward to it as well. It's one of these circuits, as you know, he's desperate to get back to the pits. He wants another lap. He's desperate to get back. I don't think it's going to work. I admire the enthusiasm to try and basically straight line every corner if we can, but I think he's going to run out of time to try and get out again. So Sterling out there on circuit at the moment. We've also got Zenke back out as well. So have a look at them fitted and best. You can see there pretty much everyone is sticking with the soft tyres. So Lickle's still in the pits, although he's coming out now. So it's one shot quali for Lickle. Same for Rafa, who's now coming around and to start his one and only, well, it's not his one and only time lap, but it's going to be his last attempt at a time lap. And he's been out there for about 4 or 5 laps already on different sets of tyres, and each time he's either invalidating or he's backing off, he's not happy with the balance or the setup, or he's finding traffic. And Rafa's really got the bit between the teeth now, because if he wants a high placing on his grid, he's got to nail this lap. This is the only opportunity he's going to get. Louis back out on the circuit, he's in traffic, but he won't mind that. And Mir, though, is he's starting his final flying lap. And he's currently in second place. Good performance by the new ILR1 driver. Made his debut last week at Austria. Will Murdoch retires from the session. As pretty much everyone else now coming back out on circuit as well. Poe on an outlap. Blizzard halfway around the circuit. Sparks in the Maggots and Beckett section. So Amir then is in sector 1 and he's half a tenth up. And that might just be good enough to jump ahead of Louis. And Louis then just staying out of the way. So we'll come back to Rafa then. Where is he in all this? Oh, he might have invalidated there just on the entrance to Cops. It's very, very tight. Is he still going for it? He is. He's got enough time if he backs out of this lap now to try and save the ERS and go for one more lap. But he would have taken quite a lot of life out of the tyres already. So Rafa then, he's trying to get a bit of a tow from Blizzard behind. That might gain him a couple of hundredths. Sterling retires from the session. He will not improve from his P12. So both the Ferraris then have called it quits towards the end of this session. We've got Onyx staying out the way as well. So Rafa's had a clean sector 2 and sector 3 in terms of traffic, locking up the left front a little bit going into club. Can you keep it straight and true through here as well? Try and curb that oversteer through the final kink as well. What's Rafa going to do? He's finally managed to put a lap on the board. It's good enough for P4, so I think he'll be relatively happy with that. Here comes Amir to end his qualifying session, and he does take provisional pole with 25.849, a tenth and a half quicker than Louis. So Louis now has to push. He knows he's been pushed down into P2, and he's just started his final lap as well. We'll try and find someone else out there. Sparks is halfway round. He's 600ths up in sector 1. Blizzard is where is he? P6 at the moment. He's just started his final lap. We'll try and find VSR Wayne. He's not coming out again. Then Yanor has finished the session. Aaron and Speedster as well. So we've got some drivers have already finished the session. We'll come down to Onyx. Where is he in all of this? He's 2 tenths up apparently on his previous best, which is not surprising considering it's a 27.0. Lickle has yet to set his first lap time either. So where's Louis in all of this? He's just coming through Luffield. Lickle as well is just coming through Chapel. And I think, who else is it? Onyx was a little bit way back as well. He's just coming through Maggots and Beckett. So we'll stay with Lickle then. He's desperate to put a competitive lap time on the board. He's in the top 5 of the championship and he will not want to be starting down in P17. Certainly with the likes of Aaron and Speedster behind him as well. So coming into club corner for the final time in qualifying, Sparks has managed to get up onto P2. LR Poe up into P6 as well, as most of the midfield have finished. What can Lickle do? It's only good enough for 12th. He won't be happy with that. We'll come back up to Louis then, whether he's coming into I think it's Stowe corner, isn't it? Onyx as well. He's going to complete before it then. So is Onyx up on his lap time? He should be. He needs to be. 17th is not what he wants. It's good enough for P7 at the moment. Blizzard crosses the line and immediately goes up into P2. Here comes Louis then through the final corner. Can he take back pole? He can't. Louis is stuck down in P4. It's Me comes back into the pits. Where's Zenke in all of this? He's backed off. Amir's back into the pits then. That is the qualifying session over. And the Toro Rosso driver of ILRT, Amir, has taken pole position here. Blizzard up on the front row. He'll be happy with that. Sparks, our race winner last week in P3. Louis can only manage P4. Will Murdoch and Rafa 5th and 6th. And both the racing points in 7th and 9th with VSR Onyx in 8th. And VSR Wayne, our championship leader, can do no better than P10. So there we go then. There's the full classification for the qualifying session. Amir just managed to beat Blizzard by 0.02 of a second. Blizzard was oh so close to a pole position here at Silverstone. Sparks in P3, Louis in P4, and then it's Will Murdoch, Rafa, LR Poe, Onyx, It's Me and VSR Wayne completing the top 10, all setting their lap times on the soft tyres. Outside of it, VSR Lambo, fruitful coup on debut in 12th, Lickle disappointing with 13th ahead of Yanul, Gonanen, Zenki, Sterling in 17th, Aaron and Speedster both had qualifying bans. The top 17, look at that, separated by 0.7 of a second. This is super close, super competitive, and anyone here is in with a good chance of a positive result. I'm going to take a very short break. I'll be back with you guys during the formation lap. So here we are then, on the formation lap, led around by the Toro Rosso of ILRT Amir. Slightly surprising myself to see him at the front. He's still a relatively new driver, so I don't know a lot about him, to be honest, but he's put himself in a very, very good position here in P1, just ahead of Blizzard in P2. He'll be hoping potentially to get himself on the podium for the first time this season. So we'll bring up then the detail for the tyres. Of course, as per real F1 rules, I keep saying in every qualifying session, I'll keep doing it for the whole of this season as well. Qualifying side the top 10, and the tyres you use to set your best lap time on, you have to start on them. So everyone inside the top 10 on the soft tyres, of course, slightly used as well. Outside of it, we've got Lambo in 11th, Yanul, his teammate, in 14th, Gonanen in 15th, Speedster at the back of the field in 19th, all going on to the mediums. The rest of the runners outside the top 10 all starting on the soft tyres. 26 laps around here at Silverstone. The penalties will probably come in thick and fast as well. I will struggle to keep up with who has what, because ETLs around here is pretty severe around Silverstone. There's plenty of places that you can extend. Abbey at turn 1, Maggots and Beckett's as well, and even on the entrance and exit of both Cops and Stowe. One thing we do know about, of course, is Onyx down in P8 will have 10 seconds added to his race time no matter where he finishes, so we'll all have to remember that as well. And if Onyx wants to win this race, he's got to pretty much dominate this, but I can't see that from 8th place. And we've got a beautiful cascade of blues and whites and silvers and reds and pinks and oranges and yellows and every colour of the rainbow weaving from side to side down the hangar straight as these drivers try to generate as much tyre temperature as they can. First couple of corners here will be very tricky. It's not like they've got a long straight and then a heavy braking zone at somewhere like Bahrain, for example. It's a quick blast away from the line and straight away chucking the car through the first couple of corners. So hopefully they can all keep it clean compared to Austria last week, which was a bit crash-tastic. So hopefully the racecraft from all of these drivers will just be a little bit better tonight, and we can actually have a decent race with multiple people fighting for the top placings. So Speedster then at the back of the field, just coming around to take up his position of P19 as Aaron just goes through him. So we'll keep an eye on both Aaron and Speedster to see what they can do at the back of the field. Of course, both of them had a qualifying ban. And Amir then on the left-hand side, pole position, Blizzard on the right. Nice little shot here, looking at the drivers staring ahead at the gantry lights. And apparently Aaron has set the fastest lap of the race. How has he managed that? I don't know. Apparently Aaron is P1 at the moment, but we'll ignore that. Hopefully it will sync up correctly once the lights do come on and come off. For round 10 here at Silverstone, it's the midway point, almost the midway point of the season, and we've got a long hold here. What's happened to the lobby? Where is Aaron in all this? Aaron, okay, something's happened here. Aaron has glitched or disconnected as his way, and his car's been put back into the pits. We're not getting the red lights here, so I think we've got a lovely Cody's glitch here, probably caused by Aaron. Such is the way of that Renault driver. So we're just going to hold here for a few seconds. There might be a restart needed, which is absolutely fantastic and what you want as well. So I'm just going to wait to see what's happening here. The comments are coming in. Yeah, what a game. Glitches indeed. But Aaron's left the session. Hopefully he can rejoin. The 5 lights are coming on now. Can Amir hold on to P1? The lights go out and away the drivers go now. It's a good start by Amir, but a better one by Blizzard as well. And Amir cuts across going into turn 1. Can all of his drivers keep it clean? Good camera angle through here as well. Sparks and Louis very close together. We've got, I think, Sterling just taking avoiding action in the background, but Amir has managed to hold on to P1. Going deep into turn 3 though. Blizzard might try this around the hard way. We've got a racing point off the circuit, but he's come back on safely as well. And Amir then right under the cosh immediately. And I think Blizzard has taken the lead. He's held it around the outside. And VSR Blizzard takes the lead of this race. Aaron rejoins. Amir in second has got Sparks behind him. Louis and Will Murdoch battling as well for P4 and P5. Can they keep it clean as well? Coming through Brooklands into Luffield. We'll jump on board of the Ferrari drivers. Sparks trying to hang this round a long way. There's Louis on the inside as well. He's going to try and squeeze the Ferrari off as well. On board with Rafa and P6 as we see the guys ahead fighting side by side as they come down into Cops for the first time. Can they all keep it clean through here? They can indeed. They all filter back into line. And Blizzard's taking the lead from Amir through the rest of the midfield. And Onyx up to P7. The Racing Points in 8th and 9th. Lambo inside P10 as well as the rest of the midfield. All battle through Maggots and Beckett's. Don't be surprised if there's a bit of contact through here. But they're all managing to keep it nice and clean so far. We've got Zenki, Lickle, Yanul all battling as well. Aaron joins and leaves again. On board with Sterling then as Wayne tries to go through past Yanul, who just drives in the middle of a circuit as well. Trying to make life difficult for the Alfa Romeo drivers. They all filter through to complete lap 1 as well. They've all pretty much kept it relatively clean. You're all running just a little bit wide, and Sterling might take advantage up the inside into Club Corner. And there's a spin, there's contact. They all went 3 wide into Club Corner, and Sterling's been spun. Gonanen in the pits as well, so he's obviously had a bit of contact damage at the end of lap 1. But Blizzard leads going into lap 2 ahead of Amir. Sparks in P3, Will up into 4th, so Louis lost out down into P5. Rafa and Onyx then championship contenders fighting early on here for 6th and 7th, and both the Racing Points behind, keeping a watchful eye on this as well as they're following Line Astern in P8 and P9 ahead of the medium shod runner Lambo in the McLaren. Fastest lap again by Aaron, which doesn't even count. I'm not too sure what's going on with Aaron. It might be easier at this time with Aaron just leaves. So Gonan and Sterling in the pits then to fix accident damage, going on to the hard tyres, which he'll try to push on now towards the end of the race. Zenki and Fruitful Coot in battle for 11th and 12th. And we're going to be side by side as well, coming through the old pit complex here. And we've got the Williams and Alfa Romeo very close together. So these guys further back in the field, very, very close together still. Zenki just manages to block Lickle off. Fruitful Coot has to take avoiding action coming through Cops Corner, but stays ahead of VSR Wayne. Speedster and Yanul are a long way back as well. Yanul has damage on that front wing. Not too sure if Speedster has any as well. I think he might do. Has he? No, he seems okay. So I think these two have made a little bit of contact. So Aaron's out the session. Gonan and Sterling have made early pit stops here, but it's Blizzard that leaves, and he's already over a second away. DRS will be activated, will be available for the drivers, I should say, and activated at the end of this lap. And Blizzard's doing everything right at the moment because he's already a second ahead of Amir. And there might be a few slipstream trains around this circuit as well with DRS. Very powerful around here. If you can stay in that 1 second window with the DRS, you can pretty much stay there for the majority of this race. We've got Rafa and Poe battling over 7th and 8th. So Rafa's fallen back a little bit here, and he's left Onyx to try and push ahead. Aaron keeps joining and leaving, but clearly it's not working for the Renault driver, so I think he's going to have to call it quits early enough. There's Zenki and Lambo fighting over P10 and P11. Who's going to win this little battle as they come into the DRS range as well? Both of them have DRS. They're all following trains ahead as well. Everyone behind Rafa very close together. We've got both the Racing Points in P8 and P9. Hopefully they'll be trying to work together if they can. And Rafa just drifts the car a little wide there through Luffield. Now coming into Woodcut as well. Oh, he's very wide there. Oh, very twitchy as well from behind him. And he's lost out to Poe. And here comes It's Me. He might try something around the outside here. Indeed he does. Rafa's going to have to back off here. And he's lost a double position there to both of the Racing Points. We've got yellow flags in Sector 1. Yanul is losing position. So I think he's had another spin somewhere. And Rafa struggling early on here. He's lost 2 positions in the last couple of corners. So we'll bring up then the position changes. So Blizzard then obviously jumping ahead of Amir. Onyx is up 2 positions. Rafa has lost 3. Zenki then in 11th place has gained 5 positions. Speedster has gained 4 as well from the start, having started at the back. And Rafa really struggling here because he's going to come under attack from Lambo. Both the Racing Points are fighting up ahead as well. Nice on-board shot here from the front wing of LR Poe as he follows his teammate It's Me through the final corner, across the line into lap 4. And the order remains pretty much as it is at the moment. So Gonan and Yanul and ILRT Sterling has made 2 pit stops actually. So Sterling then has gone through the tyre cycle. He's used both the softs and the hards. Now he's onto a set of mediums, and all these guys in the midfield stay very, very close together still. But Blizzard still leaves. We've got yellow flag sector 2. Aaron has managed to rejoin his car and then has immediately retired as well. And he's done it on track by the looks of it. It looks like he's pretty much binned it into the middle of a circuit. That's not going to help the drivers. Hopefully that car will remain ghosted. So Aaron then has clearly binned it somewhere around the circuit on purpose, I reckon, just to get his car off the circuit. So we might get a virtual safety car or a real safety car for that, but all the drivers still running at racing speed. Meanwhile, Sterling and Yanul are changing positions. Yanul going very slowly. He might have been off the circuit again. He's off the circuit again now. And this McLaren driver is having a horror show so far, but Blizzard still leads in, coming down the hanger straight, 1.4, nearly 1.5 seconds ahead of Amir. And he's got Sparks and Will Murdoch very close behind, and the Ferrari driver might try a move. No, he's just not close enough. Louis then quite in 5th place for so far. Maybe just biding his time. He knows he's got a good gap back to Onyx behind in P6. And then we've got both the racing points of It's Me and LR Poe close together. Rafa's still sticking in there in 9th. Oh, and It's Me and Poe's made a mistake. Oh, what's happening there? That was a bit of a lag or netcode, desync, whatever you want to call it. Because it looked like one of the racing points going very slowly. But he's managed to put his car back into position. And now P7 and P8. Ahead of Rafa and Lambo in 10th place. He's very close to the back of Rafa ahead. Zenki just locking up the right front, coming into Village Corner. Now into the loop as well. Very dumb little corner this is, I feel, around a high-speed circuit like Silverstone. Very understeery through here, but it sets you up nicely if you can do it through Aintree with the DRS as well. And Poe's very close to the back of his teammate, just having a little look. But he's not putting a move on just yet. So we've got Blizzard, who's slowly pulling away a couple of attempts every lap. And then we've got a little DRS train with Amir, Sparks, Will Murdoch and Louis. And then VSR Onyx all in his own at the moment in P6. And then another little DRS train behind It's Me. And you can see there's about 8 or 9 cars behind this racing point, including his own teammate. Seem evenly matched on pace at the moment, but don't be surprised if LR Poe feels he's the quicker racing point. He'll put the move on to try and clear and catch up maybe to the back of Onyx for P6. So we'll have a look now to see if the racing points do change positions, because Poe will have DRS, It's Me will not. And here we go then, It's Me driving in the middle of a circuit. Poe is thinking of a move, he's feeling a move up the inside, going into Stowe corner. Don't make contact, please don't make contact. And Poe just couldn't complete the move there. And It's Me still remains in that P7. So it's very much follow a leader at the moment for these early laps. These guys will be looking to try and remain consistent, not pick up any time penalties. I haven't seen any time penalties yet, so these drivers have kept it relatively clean. There might be a few warnings out there for some of these guys, but it's pretty much now follow a leader and wait until the pit stops do happen. Most of these drivers, of course, starting on the soft tyres. And LR Poe then up the inside into turn 3. It's Me would have been a bit unsighted by that. And LR Poe finally manages to get past as well. And he will have the DRS, but It's Me in the slipstream here as well. And Rafa might feel a move up the inside of It's Me. He does feel a move, but It's Me just turns in a little early there, preventing Rafa from sticking at Alfa Romeo up the inside. A fantastic little helicopter shot here as the drivers negotiate their way around Brooklands, Luffield and through Woodcote as well, across the old start-finish line, which is still used in the support races and the lower feeders. But obviously now with the circuit modifications in the last few years around Silverstone, it's all completely changed. And Rafa then, drum roll please. Oh, we got a Lickle. That's Lickle in the background there, just spinning, coming through Cop's corner. Don't know if he was given a bit of help there by someone else behind him, but I did see that Haas just sideways in a plume of tyre smoke coming through Cop's corner, and he spun himself all the way down into 15th place. And Lickle then in the top 5 of the championship will not be wanting that. And just going back to Rafa, he becomes our first driver then with a time penalty. Here comes Will Murdoch with a brave move up the inside of Sparks. 2 Scottish drivers. I do believe they're both Scottish. I know Sparks is Scottish. I'm pretty sure Will Murdoch is Scottish as well. So both the Scots drivers here fighting over 3rd and 4th. We've got yellow flags in yellow flag in sector 3. So someone's gone slow or run off the circuit. So Amir then is almost out of DRS range because Sparks is busy defending from both Will Murdoch and Louis behind. And this will be music to both Blizzard and Emir's ears, because they want to be out of this DRS train. Sparks it over to the left-hand side immediately, just weaving side to side, trying to break the toe. But Louis is very close to the back of Will Murdoch. Up the inside, coming into Brooklands as well. And Will's got to give him the space. Does do indeed. And Louis then up into P4. Can he do anything about the Red Bull with Sparks ahead? And if he can then start to give chase to both Emir and Blizzard up ahead, who have remained unchallenged and unopposed in P1 and P2 for now. Further back, Onyx slowly closing that gap to the guys ahead, because they've been battling so hard. And then we've got both the racing points still lying astern. Poe ahead of It's Me, with Rafa, Lambo, Zenki and Co very close behind. Nickel into the pits in to come off of those soft tyres, which he would have damaged, I think, with that very high speed spin through Copse Corner. Yellow flag in sector 1, so someone's had an off, and we've got a safety car because of it. Lickle's off the circuit, I think. He's hit the wall even after making a pit stop, and we have a safety car because of it. So this is going to be interesting for these leaders now. Where are they all? They're just before coming into the pit lane, so everyone on the soft tyres will definitely be into the pits then, probably for a set of hard tyres. Look at them all filter in then, and this is going to be a very busy pit lane. Both the racing, but It's Me's being very smart there. It's Me's being very smart and had to back off to give his teammate a few extra seconds up ahead. And Rafa's overtaken him coming into the pit lane and picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding in that pit lane. So It's Me had to back off. He's picked up a 5-second penalty for severe collision with It's Me. So It's Me had to back off then to not be held up so much in the pit lane. And Rafa said, I'm not having that. I need to get a move on there. And he's tried to overtake him and made contact as well. You can see all the drivers there all filtering in and out. Rafa retires from the session because of the penalties he's got, and immediately rage quits the session as well. So Rafa very disappointed with what's happened. So Blizzard has rejoined the circuit in the lead ahead of Emir. Louis in third, Sparks fourth, Will Murdoch fifth, Onyx, Poe and It's Me, and Zenki in second place, who elected to not pit, has retired from the session. And I think Lambo has picked up a 5-second time penalty for it. What's happened here is Lambo and Zenki made contact in safety car conditions and put Zenki into the wall. You can see his car there on the right hand side heavily damaged. Onyx almost clipped that. So Lambo stays out and takes the lead of this race, having started on the medium tyres. That we know. Zenki has made contact with Lambo, or Lambo's made contact with Zenki, and the McLaren driver picks up a time penalty because of it. That we know. And everyone else here, you can see, just moving up the order, all going on to the medium tyres. They're not the hard, so I'm wrong, apart from Speedster, who is going on to the hard tyres. Fruitful Coot, VSR Wayne, gone and then still in the pit. So he lost Rafa. That's what I can get. Rafa's picked up a time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, picked up a time penalty for severe collision with It's Me, and then rage quit the session in the pit lane in disgust. Zenki and Lambo stayed out, which is a surprise from Zenki on those soft tyres, and to be honest, a surprise from Lambo as well, because when he does pit off those mediums, he's going to be a long way back. They've made contact. Zenki's been put in the wall and has been given a terminal DNF through crash damage, and Lambo has a time penalty for it. Lickle back into the pits. He was the one that brought out the safety car by running off a circuit and clipping the wall. So obviously the safety car's come out for debris on track. Sterling, after his horror show at the beginning of the session, and Yanul as well, can now all catch back up to the field. And at some point I'm going to be able to take a breath through this safety car period, compose myself and wonder what the order's going to be, and then this race will pretty much be in a two-part sequence, if you like. So it's going to be a couple of minutes before that safety car does come back in. I'm surprised Lambo didn't pit, to be honest. I don't think the strategy is going to work for him. He's going to get hounded by everyone behind, seeing they're on the same compound tyres, but they're going to be 7 or 8 laps fresher, and then Lambo is going to lose the best part of half a minute plus when he does make a pit stop. So I think Lambo's strategy hasn't worked for him. He's got to do something different because of the tyres he started on. I understand that, I get that, but I think with the time you can lose in the pit lane here, and with all these guys behind him going to be oh so close together now towards the end of the race, I don't think this strategy is going to work out for Lambo so much. So Blizzard and Amir there, just gunning the throttle every now and again to try and generate as much heat as they can into the rear tyres. So Lambo is out of sequence, we know that much. Blizzard essentially is your net race leader, holds on to it ahead of Amir. Louis has managed to jump ahead of Sparks up into what is P3. So we've got Sparks and Will Murdoch in 4th and 5th. And then we've got Onyx, Poe and It's Me still together. So It's Me then who had to back off a few seconds to give a bit of breathing space to his teammate ahead, because he knew if he followed Poe into the pits very close together, he would have been held up quite a lot by his mechanics, double stacking in the pit lane. So that's actually worked out well for It's a clever use there of the pit lane, just backing off, knowing that no one can overtake behind because of the full course caution, if you like, of the safety car, and he hasn't lost any positions because of it. So Speedster then up inside the top 10 after starting at the back. He's gone for a different strategy here onto the hard tyres. Might pay off towards the end of the race once these mediums start to wear off. Debutant Fruitful Coot in P11, VSR Wayne, championship leader, down in P12, Gonanen then in 13th. Sterling should be able to catch up, hopefully, unless the safety car pits at the end of his lap. Same for Lickle, and Yanul is a long way back here. So we'll come back up to the leader then. Usually we'll know if the safety car is coming in once they cross the sector time at the end of Sector 2 into Sector 3. We've already done that, the lights are still on, so it will be another lap. We've got moves going on back here. What's going on? Onyx has overtaken Poe. What's happening back here as well? Speedster's been off the circuit. I think Speedster has made a mistake somewhere in the Maggots and Beckett's, probably pushing the throttle a bit too much on the relatively cold tyres and brakes, and he's spun behind the safety car all the way down to 13th. I haven't seen any time penalties come up, and we've got who's the McLaren of Yanul, is it? Yeah, Yanul just running through the escape road at Club Corner. I don't know if he's got the permission to pass yet. Well, he clearly hasn't, because he's staying in line at the moment. So Speedster's spun, and all of his guys are backing up just a little bit here, but I haven't seen any time penalties or drivers having to go slow. In fact, Speedster overtakes Gonanen again, who retakes. Can these guys just stay in line, please? It's not too difficult to race at a reduced pace in a straight line, and these guys are in the midfield, but struggling a little bit just to, you know, do basic rules. So safety car out, lap 10 of 20. It's only lap 10. My God, this race is going to go on forever, isn't it? Lambo leads then on a different strategy to the rest of the field, hoping to make something work towards the end of this race. Blizzard is your net leader, Amir and Louis looking at podium spots as well. Onyx in 7th. This won't help Onyx. He's got a 10-second time penalty to be added to his overall race time at the end of this race, and he did not want a safety car out bunching this field up. Sterling, as you can see, has now caught up to the back of a safety car train, and Lickle will be doing the same thing as well in the next couple of corners. Yanul, though, I still feel is stuck in traffic somewhere. He hasn't been given the green light yet to get past all these guys and get back on the lead lap, which would be frustrating for the McLaren driver. So Jack coming in saying, how did Zenki DNF under a safety car? Well, as soon as Zenki came up as a DNF, VSR Lambo picked up a 5-second penalty for severe contact with Zenki. They were very close on circuit. Both decided to not pit under the safety car to try and change their strategy around. So I think Lambo and Zenki somehow have crashed underneath safety car conditions, and it's put poor old Zenki out of this race. So we'll come back up to Lambo then. Safety car, is it coming in at the end of this lap? My gut feeling is it will be. And it is indeed then. So over the line then, coming into Sector 3, the safety car turns its lights off and absolutely buggers off into the distance. Try and see some more of his comments very quickly. Some people were surprised there's a safety car in this game. Yeah, and if anyone wondering why there's a safety car, Lickle went off the circuit, damaged the car on the barrier. So the safety car's basically come out for debris on track. So Yanul still stuck in line, so he will be a lap down, and this is now up to Lambo. He now becomes the net safety car. He guns the throttle then, coming through Vale into Club, and Lambo, off strategy to everyone else here, is your race leader, but he's not the net race leader. Can he hold on to it? We'll have to wait and see. Fruitful Coot is hemorrhaging positions. He's off the circuit, and Yanul has made contact with Fruitful Coot and picked up a 5-second time penalty. So I think we could be seeing Yanul retire very quickly. He's into the pits at the moment, but Lambo holds on to it. Yanul, indeed, his teammate does retire, so one McLaren retires and the other one leading this race. Louis and Sparks going into battle, and Will Murdoch's involved in all this as well, and Onyx is diving up the inside then coming into the loop, and he's gained a couple of positions. So his guys in the mid part of the top 10 all struggling then to put down the grip and find track space. We've got VSR Wayne and Sterling battling, and I think Wayne has damage on that front wing. Can't tell with that camera angle. Yellow flags in sector 3 for debris on track, and Wayne in 11th does have a damaged front wing, so he's obviously made contact with someone. Sterling very close behind. Sterling then getting a love tap, a big love tap from Lickle behind, who forces the Ferrari wide, and Gonanen says thank you very much, 2 positions for me. And Lickle, fair enough sportsmanship there, moves over to allow Sterling to retake that position, but Wayne's off the circuit and he retires as well. Wayne has either jumped off the circuit by himself or made contact, and Wayne becomes another retirement, and then throwing in the towel early on. Blizzard meanwhile has taken the lead of this race, and here comes Amir, who'll be wanting to get past Lambo as soon as possible to give the chase to Blizzard ahead. He knows he'll be losing time behind this McLaren over to the left hand side, which is the preferred racing line, but he's going to have to do this the hard way round. Cuts right across the side of Lambo, who doesn't put up too much of a fight. He can't really, those tyres are already past their best, even with a couple of laps saved behind the safety car. So Blizzard and Amir have managed to gain positions. It's Me's out of the race. There's been contact, I think, with Onyx. And what is happening with ILR1 at the moment? It's Me is well down the order. Gonanen and Lickle both coming into the pits to fix damage. It's Me out of this race. Another yellow flag out there. Lickle retires. He's had enough for the session. So immediately like that, down to just 12 left. Zenki has left the session as well, but he retired a few laps ago. And these drivers are dropping like flies at the moment. It's Me leaves the session in disgust. Obviously made contact, I feel, with VSR Onyx because he was off the circuit as well. And this order continually changed, and it's going to be it really is a battle of Britain at the moment because these guys are struggling just to even stay on the track. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some more comments flying in here just saying, is L on it coming in saying, is this UPL? No comment. And ILRT Louis, and he's now up into P4 behind Lambo, who'll be loving this, seeing all these drivers make pit stops, falling out of the race. He knows that he's got a better chance of actually making this strategy somehow work and picking up some points. Sparks then in P5, last week's race winner, hustling and bustling that Red Bull through the Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel section. LR Poe now the sole remaining racing point, holding on in P6, 3.5 seconds ahead of Will Murdoch, who does have damage on that front left. VSR Onyx manages to get past him as well, and ILRT Sterling giving chase to his teammate. So Will Murdoch off pace here. Speedster in 10th place, Fruitful Coot in 11th, Gonanen being back in the pits and in 12th place. So lap 12 of 26 into lap 13 now. We've now reached the halfway point of this race, and Will Murdoch into the pits to fix that front wing. DRS has now been re-enabled after the safety car period, and Blizzard then holds on to this race lead, 1.4 seconds ahead of it in Mia, and gaps are now starting to form between the top 5, second and a half there. LR Poe very close behind the Red Bull of Sparks. He's 4 seconds ahead of Onyx. Not too sure if he's got damage in the front wing. He doesn't, but he's locking up the front left going into the loop. The rest of these guys inside the top 10 just filtering their way through. Will Murdoch going on to the soft tyres as he comes back out of the pits. Gonanen a long way back as well. So lap 13 of 26, the halfway point. Blizzard holds on to this lead ahead of ILRT Amir, with Lambo off sequence holding on to P3. So Louis and Sparks into battle for P4 and P5. Nice move by the Red Bull driver up the inside into Stowe. Louis might try to come back at him here, but there's no way past really going through Vale and Club as well. He might try to cut back here if he can through the final corner and try something into Abbey as LR Poe gets very twitchy there with the understeer and oversteer coming through the final couple of corners. So Louis then pushed down into P5. Lambo in P3 doing a very good job actually holding on to that final podium spot. We know he's got to make a pit stop. He hasn't been in the pits yet, so he definitely has to make a pit stop. We know that much. But it's looking good for at least a point because Will Murdoch and Gonanen have had to pit again in the last couple of laps to fix accident damage. And the gap between the Blizzard and Amir still sort of stabilising around the 1.5 second mark as LR Poe continues to give chase to Louis. We've got Speedster and Fruitful Coot very close together as well as they give chase to the Ferrari of Sterling. So there's still a lot of action to be had out here as well. These drivers still very close together. The slipstream and DRS will certainly help to keep some of these guys close together. But some little gaps are starting to form. Onyx yet again on his own on circuit. He spent the first part of his race before the safety car sort of a couple of seconds behind and in front of the cars around him, and it's happening again as well. But he did lose time battling with Will Murdoch, and he also made contact with was it Yanul or was it's me? It's one of them, wasn't it? It's one of the drivers that have recently retired, and Onyx lost a few seconds because of that as well. Luckily got away with no damage on that front wing, as Poe and Louis battling over P5 and P6, and Louis having, by his standards, a bit of an off day at the moment down in P6. It's not often we see the likes of LR Poe managing a nice overtake on him, so Louis got to regroup and reform here. He's got a good opportunity to potentially take the lead of this championship, considering that VSR Wayne is out of the race. He holds a 9-point lead over the Mercedes driver at the moment. So Louis picks up the P5, which he is technically on course to do once Lambo pits, and Louis will take the lead of this championship. But Sparks is in a good vein of form at the moment, running in P4. And we've still got Onyx out there on circuit as well, but he does have a 10-second penalty. That will hurt him. That will drop him all the way down into P10 as it stands. So Louis then still giving chase. We've got Sparks and Lambo very close together, and Lambo now pushed out of P3 as those medium tyres now start to grain up. We'll jump aboard with a McLaren, have a look at the medium tyres. Bit of graining on the left front there. You can see the discoloration on the surface of the tyre, as Will Murdoch sets a new fastest lap, a 28.692, which is to be expected on those soft tyres. But this will be helping Lambo, I feel, certainly with the safety car period. He's in the position now where he could probably put on a set of soft tyres. Certainly with each passing lap, that window to put on the Red Bull soft tyres becomes greater and greater. And all of the drivers that did pit underneath a safety car off the soft tyres could have probably gone a little bit longer, but obviously when the safety car comes out at that point, everyone was going to be making a pit stop, which we all expected, and which definitely did happen. And Onyx then picks up a 3-second time penalty for getting a little bit wrong through the Maggots and Beckett section. And LR Poe then, who won in France, had a strong race in Austria as well, running in P5 at the moment. He wants to get past Lambo sooner rather than later here to try and put a bit of pressure on Sparks for the final podium spot. And now Sparks is free. Can he do anything about Amir and Blizzard ahead? Well, he's 4 seconds back behind the Toro Rosso driver at the moment, so he's going to have to put the hammer down here with 11 laps remaining, including the one that everyone is now starting to circulate round. And Lambo's still doing a very good job with that orange and blue McLaren running in P4. Louis then dropping back behind Poe. I wonder if Louis has any damage. He does have damage. Look at that. The front right end plate is missing, so that would explain why Louis is dropping back. I thought that even if he did manage to get past by the racing point, he'd still be able to hold on with the DRS and the slipstream around here, which is very, very powerful for these drivers. But Louis then has front right damage somehow, somewhere, and that's why he's dropping back out of DRS range now to LR Poe. And that might be a bit of a wake-up call for Onyx. He may know that. He may have been told that. He may have seen that, possibly. So he can hopefully now start to put a bit of pressure on that Mercedes for P6. Behind him, a couple of seconds back, Sterling is putting up a brave fight against Speedster and Fruitful Coop. Fruitful has had an up-and-down race so far. He's been off the circuit a couple of times. But it's difficult for debutants in ILR1 to really get a firm footing. They're racing against drivers they may not have raced against before, may not have heard of before. Every driver attacks and defends in different ways, and it's going to be a bit of a learning curve for Fruitful Coop for the first couple of races, like it was for ILRT and Mia. But he's putting everything right so far, running in P2 as Lambo then finally pits off of those medium tyres. I'll be expecting a easy change onto the soft tyres. Poe up into P4, Louis into P5, Onyx up into P6 as Speedster off the circuit again. He's lost a position to Fruitful Coop. I think he's going to move over to the right hand side and retake that position. So Fruitful Coop then obviously made contact with Speedster, forced him off the circuit, and Fruitful Coop does the gentlemanly thing, said, okay mate, I'll put my hand up, my bad, I'll move over and allow you to retake that position. So hopefully neither driver has any damage. It certainly doesn't look like, so both can carry on their battle for what is now P8 and P9. Lambo in P10 should be able to keep that ahead of Will Murdoch and Gonnanan. Indeed he will, as Yanul leaves the session after retiring a few laps ago. So Lambo then out on the soft tyres. He'll potentially set the fastest lap of the race. But you can see there he's 25 seconds behind Fruitful Coop. So the strategy wouldn't have worked out for him because of the safety car. But it was big, bold and brave to try something different. But we all knew that he would tumble down the order. And you'll find the going tough from here to pick up any more positions unless anyone falls off the road. So lap 17 of 26. You can see now on the left-hand side, the top 12. That is your true order. We're expecting no more pit stops from these guys. All the medium runners, we've taken these tyres to the end. Might suffer a bit of graining towards the end as well, but everyone is in the same boat. And it's going to be a case of managing the tyres, managing the ETLs as well, because with these guys so close together, even though there are a few gaps out there, they're so close together, a couple of 3-second penalties could see them tumble down the order. Blizzard and Amir still circulating round, exchanging lap times, a second and a half apart. Sparks in the last few laps has taken a few tenths out of Amir, so he's slowly gaining, but not at the rate he'd want to. LRPO holding on in 4th place. Louis really is struggling with that front wing, and VSR Onyx has now closed that gap. He can probably sniff an opportunity for a top 5 finish here, and you possibly will have seen at this point that Louis does have damage on that front right. It was the front right, wasn't it, on Louis? It was indeed the front right. So Onyx then, this is probably the first proper opportunity he's got for an overtake. I don't think Louis will try and defend this too much. He knows he'll lose his position sooner rather than later. Indeed, he makes no attempt whatsoever to defend the inside line going into Brooklands, and Onyx says, thank you very much, P5 is now mine. Louis then has now a 5.5 second gap back to Sterling, who's busy defending from the very feisty Fruitful Coupe and Speedster behind as they sort of dice and chop their way around P7, 8 and 9. So we'll jump on board with Fruitful Coupe and see what's going to happen here as they file down into Copse Corner. Sterling feels the need to defend a little bit going through Copse. That will hurt his exit speed, and Speedster has an opportunity here to try and do a move around the outside of an inside into Maggots and Beckett's. Not an opportunity to make a move here through Maggots and Beckett's. You've got to be very brave to try and go through here side by side and have total trust and faith in a driver you're trying to overtake. Here we go, and Speedster with the DRS. Sterling stays to the right hand side to try and make life as difficult as possible for the Red Bull driver. Now back on board at Fruitful Coupe, we'll get a good shot of his Speedster, kicks up a bit of dirt, and the car there a little understeering, a little unbalanced around the outside, but he makes the move stick for P7, and Sterling feels the need to potentially defend as well coming into Club Corner. And Fruitful Coupe might try the cutback here, if he got a switchback I should say, coming through the final couple of corners. He'd be brave to try something into Abbey. This really isn't an overtaking opportunity. The Speedster then finally makes the move up into P7, which he's been threatening to do for the last couple of laps, and Sterling now will be having one car ahead, one car behind, so he'll be busy looking ahead and in his mirrors as well. And Sterling will have DRS off the Speedster, but Fruitful Coupe will be getting a nice double toe from both of these guys as well, so don't be surprised to see Fruitful Coupe send one up the inside for P8 coming down into Brooklands and lap A19 of 26. This is the main battle on circuit at the moment for the lower points inside the top 10. Little love tap there from Fruitful Coupe, just pushing that Ferrari a little bit wide, but he's still got the inside coming into Luffield. It's sort of almost like a double right-hander as well, because he dragged the car wide mid-corner and then cut back in on the exit of the apex, if you like. Try and straighten up the car for the best run coming down into Copse. And Fruitful Coupe just ducking and weaving around, making his Toro Rosso loom large in that Ferrari's rearview mirrors, but Sterling's had a better exit through there. Now into the Maggots and Beckett sequence, yet again, a fantastic sequence of corners. And this is a part of a circuit where if you absolutely nail it, you can gain so much time. And Fruitful Coupe's lost out here. He won't be able to try a move. Lambo though still pushing around on those soft tyres, holding on to the final point. Amir and Blizzard still trading sector time. Sparks is not gaining, and Will Murdoch down in 10th. 11th picks up a 3-second time penalty. So the top, I think 7, or top 6 at least, pretty much set in stone. I don't think Blizzard has any time penalties. I don't think Amir, Sparks or Poe has any time penalties. Onyx, we know, has a 10-second penalty to be added on to the end of this race. As it stands at the moment, I think Onyx is looking at P9, which is not what he would have want. VSR Wayne out of this race, he'll be a no score. Louis then looking at 8 points at the moment. It will be 10 points once Onyx's 10-second penalty gets added. So Louis, I think, will take the lead of this championship by 1 single point. Lickle and Rafa out of this race as well. So this is an opportunity for Sparks, really. He's only about, I think, about 40 points behind, maybe even less behind Onyx, and he's on course for 15 here as well. So Sparks could be an outside bet for a late title challenge as well if he keeps up these consistently high performances. Amir as well. He's a long way back in the championship, having only recently joined ILR1, but if he keeps up good performances like this, you never know. Blizzard as well, last season's ILR defending champion, and this is the first time we've really seen Blizzard command and dictate the race pace, and this will be a very, very popular win, I feel, in inside line racing, to see Blizzard back at the front of the field winning a race which he did so consistently and so often last season, but this season has really, really struggled as Lambo picks up a time penalty down in P10. And Sterling and Fruitful Coot are now dicing over P8 and P9. The Ferrari up the inside into the final couple of corners, but the Toro Rosso is the inside for the next corner. Completes the move, pushes that Ferrari down into P9 as Sterling gets very twitchy with the oversteer coming through the final couple of corners. Now into Avi turn 1. Both of them keeping it nice and true through there as well. We haven't seen too many ETL penalties. Still a few laps left to run, but the order will change. We know there's a few out there. So Blizzard still holds on to this lead. Amir is slowly starting to gain on this lap at least, 1.2. Sparks has dropped off. He's now over 4, nearly 4.5 seconds away. So I think Amir then has been pushing a little bit in these last couple of laps. We'll bring up the telemetry anyway, just have a look at the ERS moding and what people are doing. So Blizzard is in full ERS mode at the moment with less than 20%. Same for Amir as well. Sparks is very low. Poe is in the teens. Onyx is pretty much out of ERS at this point, so he left to save. Louis still has a little bit as Amir picks up a 3-second time penalty that may have all but killed this race battle, because that's now going to put him in the clutches of potentially losing P2 to Sparks if he gets a harry on. Sparks might have been on the radio to his engineer asking ahead if he has any time penalties, and if he asks now, he'll know that the Toro Rosso driver has at least 3 seconds. So that might have killed it, unless Blizzard runs off the circuit or picks up a 3-second time penalty himself. So lap 21 now into 22 of 26. 5 to go. Amir giving chase ahead. He's almost in DRS range here, but he has a 3-second time penalty. Sparks holding on to P3 ahead of LR Poe and VSR Onyx. So here we go then. Either Blizzard is saving, Blizzard has been saving a lot of ERS. He's now up into the 40% range, and Amir has taken that opportunity to close the gap right up to the back of the Williams. He's now in the DRS window, and I think Amir has really had to put the hammer down here, because he knows of that 3-second penalty. He knows now if he's going to win this race, he's got to get past and pull away. And here we go, and this is going to be an easy change for the lead. Amir with the DRS up the inside into Stowe corner and takes the lead of this race. Blizzard now will have to hold on to the back of Amir. He's done well to save a lot of ERS. Maybe that was the strategy then. Maybe he asked behind a lap or two ago if he has any time penalties, and he's been told that Amir has 3 seconds, so maybe he's backed off, saved as much of the ERS as possible. Now he'll just stick to the back of this Toro Rosso. But the risk with this is, if Blizzard then with the extra understeer he'll now pick up following a car closely behind, if he runs off the circuit and picks up a 3-second penalty. As it stands, these guys will be facing true battle on the circuit, and just gives a little love tap there to the back of the Toro Rosso. You don't want to be doing that too many times. The last thing he wants is front wing damage. So I think Blizzard is quite happy at the moment to just follow Amir around, knowing that Toro Rosso, I assume he knows that the Toro Rosso driver has a 3-second penalty, and it's all up to Amir now to see if he can pull away. And with just 4 laps to go, with a very DRS heavy, slipstream heavy circuit around here, he's going to find the going tough. He needs Blizzard to either fall off the circuit or pick up a time penalty of himself. Sparks has closed the gap a little bit as well whilst all this is going on. Poe safe in 4th, same for Onyx in 5th. Speedstat is closing the gap a little bit to Louis ahead, because that Mercedes has front wing damage, but I think he'll do just enough to hold on. Fruitful Coop and Sterling still very close together in 8th and 9th. Lambo currently holding on to the final point, but Will Murdoch in 11th is giving chase. He's only a couple of seconds back. Gone in as well in 12th. He's had a difficult, challenging evening, and you'll be hoping for at least 2 more retirements with a couple of laps to go to pick up an unlikely championship point. You lost Lickle, It's Me, VSR Wayne, Yanul just after the safety car period. Zenki and Lambo crashed, I feel, made contact behind the safety car, which put Zenki out. Rafa retired in the pits after making contact with It's Me and then speeding into the pit lane as well. And Aaron Collingwood has had his disconnection issues constantly tonight as well. He was pretty much a DNS. It did not start this race. Lap 24 of 26, 3 to go. Blizzard saving a lot of ERS. Amir using a lot of it as well to try and pull away out of his DRS range. But all Blizzard has to do at this point is keep it smooth and clean, and keep following ILRT Amir ahead. As long as he keeps picking up the DRS, he knows he's within a second, and as long as he doesn't fall off the circuit, he'll know he'll be keeping it nice and clean. Sparks is slowly chipping away, but it's not really going to happen for the Red Bull driver. I think he's content with finishing in third place. He'll be very close though. He'll be within, I think, a second of Amir once this all finishes. So if he does get a bit of a hurry up here, he could push his Toro Rosso driver down into P3. And our Po Onyx in 5th as well, with the plus 10 seconds to be added. So I think he's potentially Onyx at the moment, looking at maybe holding on to a P8 or P9. So here comes Blizzard, and he's not using the ELS, so he has no intention whatsoever of retaking the lead of this race. He's quite happy to follow the Toro Rosso round. There is a risk, of course, if he makes a mistake or picks up a penalty, then he's going to gift wrap the race win to Amir. So I'm pretty sure Blizzard doesn't have any penalties. And Amir, we know, has at least a 3-second penalty. I could be wrong. There could be more penalties out there, but not many have popped up on screen. And most of the penalties that have popped up are drivers that have already retired from this race. So it doesn't really matter too much. So 2 laps to go then here around Silverstone. The weather has been kind. Nice, dry, sunny conditions of both qualifying and the race. And these drivers, and as you can see, all completing 17 laps on either a medium or hard tyres in the case of speed. So that's because a safety car came out in the early part of this race after, Lickle went off the circuit and left debris on the edge of the circuit. That's why a safety car came out. It didn't come out because of a crash, it came out for debris on circuit. And it's rare that we get a safety car in ILR1, but we've had one here tonight, which was all of the soft runners into the pits as you would expect, onto the medium tyres. And it's pretty much been a case of follow the leader since then. We've seen some nice dicey overtakes and some good battles further down as Blizzard there picks up quite a bit of understeer going through Copse Corner, which you would expect following someone nice and close behind. So we'll watch again to see if Blizzard with the DRS tries something down into Stowe, but my gut feeling is he won't try anything even this late into the race, and he's quite happy to follow this Toro Rosso driver down. He is moving the EOS mode up to number 4 though, so he might try to retake the lead. He is going back to try and take the lead of this race and does so on lap 25 of 26. I think Amir has pretty much given up. He doesn't have a lot of EOS left. And I think Amir had an opportunity there to try and pull away, but it was never going to work. And these two then come around in close formation to start the final lap of this race. Unless penalties will change it, Blizzard will hold on to P1 to pick up his first race win of the season. A much needed race win for that Williams driver. And who knows, now we reach the midpoint of this season, this might be the big confidence boost that the defending ILR1 champion needs to mount somewhat of an unlikely championship charge. Seeing a lot of the top runners as well have poor races tonight. Onyx will fall down the order with his 10-second penalty. Louis has a difficult challenging evening as well with that front wing damage, and Speedster has now caught him as well, so Louis might lose another position here. Likes of Lickle, Wayne, Rafa all out of the race as well at various points as well, so the championship won't change too much, but certainly those further down outside the top 5 will close up. Will Murdoch has given up that battle with Lambo. I think Lambo does have time penalties, so he might be promoted back in again. Speedster then within half a second of Lewis. We'll have to keep an eye on that, but Blizzard then doing everything right so far. Unless he makes a mistake through here, I think Blizzard's going to be taking down this race win. And Amir started this race in pole position, and these two have been exchanging lap times and sector times throughout this race as well. They've been overtaking each other a few times as well, but unfortunately the 3-second penalty kind of killed it there towards the end. And through Stowe then for the 26th and final time. This is a much needed, and it will be a much popular win for VSR Blizzard. The smile on his face will be huge and wide through the final corner, and for the first time this season, finally Blizzard takes down the race win. Amir's 3-second penalty will drop him to second. Sparks picks up the final podium spot and has immediately been jumped ahead by Poe. He's back on the podium. Onyx crosses the line in 5th. Speedster made a mistake somewhere. I think no, he hasn't, because he's managed to get past Louis, so Speedster does jump into P6. Louis down into 7th. Fruitful Crew crosses the line in 8th. Sterling in 9th to pick up 2 points. And we wait to see who picks up the final point between Lambo, Will Murdoch and Golonen. So Sparks had time penalties, which has promoted LR Poe into the final podium spot, and a 10-second penalty to VSR Onyx has dropped him down, I feel, possibly into 9th place. Lambo crosses the line. Does he keep that final point? He does indeed, as Will Murdoch gets his drift on there coming over the line. Golonen then disappointing in 12th, spins it through the final corner into the wall, and that will be the race over and done with. So congratulations to VSR Blizzard. That race win will do his confidence the world of good, and I think it will be a very popular win inside line racing as well. ILRT Amir tried his very best after the 3-second time penalty to take down the race win, but it didn't work. But I think he'll be relatively happy with P2 and the 18 points. And LR Poe jumps up on the podium due to the Red Bull Sparks having a couple of time penalties. He'll be happy with a very strong performance tonight to pick up the 15 points and the final podium spot. So there we go then, VSR Blizzard kept it clean. From P2 on the grid, takes down the race win. ILRT and Mia with the 3-second time penalty drops him down to P2. Sparkson had time penalty, 6 seconds I think, possibly 5 seconds it was indeed. So LR Poe just manages to get back onto the podium. Onyx then with the 10-second penalties, it does drop him down all the way into P9 once all this is sorted out. Speedster, Louis, Fruitful Cook and Sterling will all be promoted one more position. Lambo keeps a hold of the final point. Will Murdoch and Gonanen are final runners. Everyone else there you can see retired at various stages. I'll try my best now to get the top 3 in for the podium interview, so if you want to hear their thoughts, do stay with us and I'll be back with you guys in a couple of minutes.
God, that was an amazing lap. Shame I got a 3-second penalty though.
Okay, and so far, guys, if you could just wait a second please, thank you. Blizzard and Amir have joined me for the podium interviews. No sign of LR Poe yet, hopefully we'll join in a couple of minutes. Guys, I haven't had an opportunity to talk to either of you two yet this season, so if you could double check your party settings to allow your voice to be shared, and once you've done that, if you can please mute your microphone and only obviously turn it on when you've got to answer a question. I'll give you both a couple of seconds just to double check your settings before I begin. So then we'll come to VSR Blizzard first of all then. Congratulations, finally winning a race this season in ILR1 and your first time on the podium, first time I've had an opportunity to talk to you. Midway point of the season, this must have done your confidence a world of good, because let's be honest, this has been, up till now, probably the worst ILR1 title defence I think anyone has ever witnessed. Just talk to us about your emotions about finally winning a race this season, as well as managing to hold off Amir in that race-long battle for the race win.
Winning that race was probably very important. It was really good to win. It's been ages since I've won in this league. So yeah, it feels really nice. It was a good battle with Amir as well. Well, sort of battle, I guess. But yeah, he pushed me all the way. So unfortunately got a 3-second penalty, but it helped me just sit in his DRS for the rest of the racing. Take the win.
I mean, just tell us about is there a reason why you struggled so much this season? Because the first 6 races of the season, you only picked up 4 championship points. It's picked up since then. You were promoted to 3rd place at Canada after penalties after the race was all sorted out, and then you didn't start in France, and you picked up 7th in Austria, which was a crazy race. Just what happened in the first 5 or 6 races? Why weren't you on the pace everyone sort of expected? Were you falling over other drivers? Were you just struggling with setups? Was there any reason because of it, or is it just being, a more competitive field this year that you've struggled to remain at the top?
I think it was mainly my qualifying, particularly around the one-shot quali tracks where you only have really one opportunity to get at the top, and I just couldn't really do well in those. But now I've kind of sorted it out, and it's much better now. I'm doing much better and consistently getting higher up in quali now. So yeah, I think it's mainly that bad luck in the midfield as well.
So obviously you're expecting in tonight's race wasn't necessarily a flash in the pan. Hopefully now, as you said, you've sorted qualifying out. Are you expecting them to be more competitive in the next few races as well, and consistently be challenging again for front row starts and podium finishes as the second half of the season now begins?
That's my aim, obviously, but I'm not sure. I haven't driven many of the tracks in the second half of the season, but I think it will be quite good. I think I'll be able to, I've definitely sorted out the quali, so I think I'll be able to definitely challenge, at least for podiums, a couple of times, maybe wins as well in this second half.
And just talk to us as well, when the safety car came out, it was quite clear that every single driver that started on the soft tyres would be straight into the pits going on to either the mediums or the hards. The majority went on to the mediums. Do you feel that helped you a little bit? Obviously, because with the field behind you still relatively quite close together in the early laps, were you maybe worried that people behind might try and undercut or go into different tyres, or you might push the softs too fast? So was it a sort of a blessing in disguise really when that safety car came out, because you knew that everyone would be pitting at the same time and the order would pretty much remain the same with you still at the front?
I think it actually made it worse, because I struggled more in that second stint to keep the DRS from Amir than I did in the first stint. It was maintaining around 1.5. Me and Amir were very similar in the first stint, and I think Amir just had a bit more pace on me on the mediums. I'm not sure why, probably just me generally, but yeah, it was a bit harder actually.
And final question for me then, we've got Hockenheim next week at Germany as we go into the second half of the season. Can we expect a similar performance from you there that we've had tonight as well, or is Germany one of those circuits where you don't particularly get on well? Are you going to have to go away and put some practice in, work on the setups, or are you pretty much ready to go to do battle next week?
I don't particularly like Germany, to be honest, but I'm definitely going to try and get a top 5 there. It's going to be, that's probably going to be one of the hardest ones for me in terms of quali, because it's one lap on the mediums and the horrible turn 1 as well. It's going to be really hard for me, I think. But if I do get a good quali, then yeah, definitely will be a good track for me. But I think I have to put a reasonable amount of practice in for that. Definitely more than I did for this one.
Now, as it stands, unless of course there's any other after race penalties that may or may not affect you, I don't think there will be. I think you will hold on to this race win. I certainly didn't see or hear anything that could change it. With the top 5 in the championship at the moment really struggling, most retired, the others that did finish picked up only a few points. You're around about 40-ish points away from the lead of the championship, and there's still 10, 11 races to go. Can we expect a late season charge for the championship from you, or are you going to be taking it sort of one race at a time, maybe see where you are in the standings once you reach maybe Russia, Japan, Mexico?
We'll have to see, won't we? Obviously, but I don't really particularly know where I'll be. I'm just gonna aim to try and get top 3 in the championship. Maybe I think that's definitely a reasonable goal, considering my form that I think I have right now.
Well, I finally had the opportunity to speak to you this season and ask some questions that I've wanted to ask pretty much from the get-go as well. A rich vein of form at the moment, the confidence is obviously building, your first time really on the podium tonight as well, and your first race win of the season. So congratulations on the 25 points, and thank you for joining me for the podium interviews.
Thank you.
Thank you. It takes me on to P2 then. Starting in pole position, led the race at various points, but the 3-second penalty pretty much killed any opportunity for the race win for Emir. But Emir, this is your second race in ILR1. A scrappy Austria early on with a DNF towards the end of the race when you was battling for the final couple of points. But you put all the wrongs right here tonight with your first trip to the podium in the 18 points. First of all, you must be delighted with getting onto the podium, but disappointed as well. But that 3-second penalty towards the end really killed any opportunity for the race win.
Well, yeah, firstly, congratulations to Matthew on his win. He did amazing. He's quite a beast on this track. Raced against him like 2 or 3 times before, and he's quite unbeatable on this track. So, yeah, coming home P2, second race in ILR. After that, I don't know, scruffy race in Austria, which wasn't really my fault because I had, damage because of all those chaotic crashes in front of me. But yeah, starting on pole position, I was really looking forward to this race. I changed my approach a little bit with the setups, focused more on the race, but pole position was quite a surprise because I had, Blizzard and Louis were quite a bit fast on quali. So yeah, starting on pole position was really a big boost for me. First stint was quite okay, kind of keeping up with Matthew, like 1.5, 1.4. Safety car, I think it made things a bit worse for me because I was trying to undercut him. I was trying to pit on lap 8, put some pressure on him because the undercut works so good around here. So yeah, then the second stint, I had quite a bit of a pace advantage, but yeah, the 3-second penalty just ruined any opportunity for me. So yeah, coming on P2 was actually a pretty good thing for me, considering it's only my second race here. So I'm really happy for that.
Now, a question I like to ask newer or newish drivers into ILR1. Obviously, coming in, this is your second race. Austria was just a crazy mess for everyone, really, so you couldn't really get a good gauge of the other drivers. But tonight, running at the front of the field, obviously you spent most of it just battling with Matthew or Blizzard, however you want to call him. But are you slowly adjusting to life in ILR1? Because there's probably quite a few drivers in there you maybe never raced against before, maybe never heard of before. And of course, all the drivers, they defend and attack in different way. They take different lines. They're quicker or slow at certain circuits. So is this a learning curve for you and you're just taking it race by race, or do you feel already that you've got a good gauge of all the drivers' strengths and weaknesses out there and you can comfortably do battle with pretty much anyone on circuit and not worry about silly mistakes or contact? Well,
that's a very good question actually. I joined mid of the season with I'm actually very looking forward to the next tracks. I think the next tracks are probably my best in this game. So yeah, Germany is next, and I think I could challenge for the win there. One of my best tracks, and you could say it's a bit of a learning curve because I'm still new here. Quite a few guys that I haven't heard of, but most of them I have raced against them before. Like for example, Blizzard, Rafa, Onyx. All of these guys are quite fast, and I've raced against them before. So yeah, it's a bit of both actually, because it's my first time racing here in ILR. New league, full of fast drivers unlike any other league. So yeah, it's actually a bit of both. With the coming tracks, I think it's gonna give me a lot of, if I can get a good result in Germany, like a podium, I think I can take it to the next level and maybe challenge for wins. And maybe, why not next season, challenge for the championship. So yeah, a bit of both.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the championship. Obviously, unless something amazing happens and you win, let's say, the next 6 or 7 races, fighting for the Drivers' Championship is sort of not really going to happen for you. Obviously, this is the first time you've scored points and we're at round 10. So are you sort of playing the long game and preparing for next season, getting used to everything here, working on setups, getting to know the tracks and taking all that information in, which will help you into Season 7 if you do remain, of course, in ILR1. So is this a long game for you? Are you sort of taking this sort of season as sort of a glorified test session, trying to get as many points on the board, learning about the other drivers, learning about the circuits, and then maybe having a good stab at the title going into Season 7?
Well, yeah, definitely. I think this is actually a good thing for me to take take it race by race, take this season, this whole remaining of the season as a learning curve, because I have no pressure right now on me. I can just do my thing. Because yeah, whatever happens, it's just just only a preparation for next season, which is going to be the real challenge for me. Because I couldn't really join at the beginning of the season, quite a busy schedule. But yeah, I was so determined to join middle of the season because I do believe that it's going to help me for the next season to take it to the next level and fight for the championship.
And one final question from me. I do ask most of the drivers about how they practice and how they sort of develop their setups, if you like, leading up to the event and get themselves focused. Some drivers do no practice. They nick a setup off of someone else, or they just sort of just go into the session, put a random setup on and hope for the best. And other drivers put hours and hours and hours of practicing on time trial, multiplayer, Grand Prix mode. So where do you lie on that? Are you one of those that sort of, I don't want to use the term sweats the game, but that's sort of what I'm getting at? Or are you one of the drivers that pretty much just waits until maybe an hour before qualifying, does a handful of laps on time trial, finds a decent setup and goes, that will work for me?
Well, it actually depends on the track, because Britain, I have raced there before, so yeah, I've already got a setup before, but it wasn't really good for the race. So yeah, I had to do a bit of sweat, as you would say, before the race. So I had to practice my race pace. I think if you really want to win in a big league, you have to do some sort of sweat. You cannot just win like by just waiting like before the race by 1 hour and just get in there without knowing how your tires will do, without knowing how your quali pace is. So I think it's just impossible for me to win without doing all these. So yeah, it depends on the track as well, because I've raced before in Britain, so I didn't really sweat that much for this race, but yeah, for the next races, I don't know. Probably will, probably not. It depends on the tracks. But as I said, it's impossible to win without like doing some sort of practice. You cannot just like go in there and don't know anything about how you're gonna do.
Well, practice makes perfect, and as I always say, consistency is key. And you're certainly enjoying life in ILR1 at the moment at this very early stage of your career inside line racing. So congratulations on the second place. Unlucky with the 3-second penalty towards the end. It did kill the battle for the race win, but I think overall you'll be pretty happy with the second place and the 18 points. And thank you for joining me for the podium interview.
Cheers.
Cheers. I don't think LR Poe has joined the podium interviews for whatever reason, which is a shame. It'd be nice to get his thoughts on jumping ahead of Sparks to the final podium spot at the death as well. But congratulations to the Racing Point driver for picking up the 15 points. That therefore brings the podium interviews and the stream to the end. A very entertaining and enjoyable race once again with ILR1. Some silly incidents happening on in the middle part of the race. We had a safety car for the first time in quite a while as well, which sort of put everyone on the same strategy. But some good battles up and down the field for the entirety of that race. But congratulations to VSR Blizzard on his first win of the season, ILRT Emir on P2 and LR Poe on P3. That's it from me, but in a short while we'll have ILR2 and ILR3 kick off around Silverstone. Hopefully those guys can keep it a little cleaner than what we saw tonight in ILR1. As for ILR1, of course, I'll be back with you guys at 5 o'clock next week as we go into the second half of the season as we take on the Hockenheimring at Germany. Maybe weather will play a part, maybe we'll see another safety car, and maybe we'll have the opportunity to talk to similar drivers yet again. But for now, my name is Alex Lilliart. Thank you very much to each and every single one of you that has dropped in on the stream at various points, and I'll see you guys next week at 5 o'clock.